What are lasers? Laser is short for light amplification by simulated emission of radiation. Now, where did it come from? So let's do a little bit of history. It was predicted in 1916 by Einstein. He predicted that there is a radiative process, and he called it simulated emission. So let me write that down. Radiative process called simulated emission. And he based it off of the prediction that there is an existence of equilibrium between matter and light or electromagnetic radiation, which requires that beside emission and absorption, there must be a third process called simulated emission. Where you can force the emission to happen, which is fascinating conversation to be having. We don't quite know the existence of light as matter yet, or is light as a wave, or is light as a ray, or is light what? So we're talking 1916, where people are discussing whether light even behaves as a wave or as a particle. And this is the time when he's saying, oh, there should be also an interaction that says that their matter and light need to be in equilibrium with each other. Okay? Next, what happened next? So between 1916 and 1954, a whole generation of scientists have existed, right? So imagine 2016 and 2054. That's how many years in between? 30 years? Some 30 odd years, 30, 40 years about. So the next big thing happened in 1954. Almost 40 years later, a whole generation has passed. So imagine how old you guys would be at that time. Like in your 60s. Keep that in context, right? The first person was C.H. Towns, who developed what are called masers. What is a maser? A maser is microwave amplifier based on simulated emission of radiation. And he used ammonia, NH3, in his quest. So what are microwaves? They are electromagnetic radiation, right? And he used those to create what Einstein had predicted 40 years ago. The next big thing that happened was in 1958, when, in addition to Towns, another guy called together adapted masers for light in the visible region, in the optical region. So they converted maser to light in the visible region, and the first of lasers came into existence. However, the real lasers were further developed in 1960 when Maiman built the first laser device. And what he did was he used the ruby crystal as the laser amplifier, and he used a 2-mirror cavity as the optical resonator. And this laser emitted a deep red light at about 694.3 nanometers. Within months, Japan and Associates, they developed the first gas laser, or what we now call the helium neon laser. And that emitted light in both the infrared at 1.15 and visible. Regions. So it can be in the infrared region, or it can be in the visible region. And so very quickly, people discovered both ways to do it. So the red lasers and the green lasers, right? That's what it was. And then within the 1960s, many other different lasers were developed, right? With different colors, with different configurations and all of that. But most of the 1960s was defined as a solution in search of a problem. We didn't know where the applications were. We didn't understand how we would apply them. And now they're like everywhere. Even our cats like them.